Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to week 4 of our English 410 class. Hopefully, you got a chance to enjoy the weekend. We got tiny moments of sunshine, so hopefully, you got to soak those in. This week, we are working on our conceptual model analysis, which sounds much fancier than it actually is. So, we'll talk about that in more detail in just a second. But while we are focusing on the conceptual model analysis this week, we do have one discussion board on Wednesday. So I want to chat about that real quick, and then we'll talk about the conceptual model in just a moment because this discussion board, as all our discussion boards do, really helps us build toward the major project. It gives us a chance to practice in a much lower stakes environment where we can benefit from the feedback of our peers before we try and tackle something that's worth a lot more points. So as we take a look at this discussion board, we are going to be looking at a conceptual model that can inspire our own conceptual model work. So there is an article you'll be reading, Developing and Validating a Quantitative Measure of Organizational Courage, which is actually kind of interesting. The title doesn't sound interesting, but it's talking about how people work together in a business and how to elicit courage, like to get people to stand up and share their ideas, or to challenge bad ideas, or to communicate their needs. Those kind of courageous acts in the business world fall along a spectrum. And so this article kind of discusses that spectrum and how we might create a good working environment where people feel like they can share their ideas, that their ideas are heard, and that their work is appreciated. Um, so the purpose of the author's work was to test 5 hypotheses and see how they developed within business organizations. So in this particular discussion, you are going to read the article and the description of 4 types of organizations that we'll then see in this conceptual model. And then in a paragraph, it doesn't have to be terribly long, like 6 to 8 sentences, describe a personal experience of working at a company that matches one of these 4 types. Tell me a little bit about where you work, what was your job title, what department or level you were at, um, and work between the x-axis and the y-axis. Use our terms here, the specific vocabulary we discussed in the article and in this conceptual model as a part of your paragraph. Um, if you don't want to talk about job experience, you can talk about volunteer experience as well. Also, if you don't want to give the actual name of your company or the people you worked with, you can absolutely make up a creative and totally pretend name and pretend names for all of the characters too. That's absolutely fine. And then you are going to discuss how your experience falls along this spectrum. And then you're going to reply to one of your classmates and choose one that you can kind of empathize with or maybe have some knowledge about. Affirm and elaborate on the shared experience. Maybe you also worked in one where it was very high on the fear axis. So you can empathize there. And then using some of the ideas from the article, discuss a couple ways maybe the organization the person worked for could benefit from this study done by Kilman O'Hara and Strauss, because they did some really good research on how to create a more equitable and effective business working environment. So that's our discussion board. This is a really nice example of the kind of model, conceptual model you'll be working on later on this week. So if we go back to the calendar here, everything always takes longer to load when I'm recording the videos. We'll take a look at the conceptual model assignment as well. So this is your chance to develop your ideas in terms of qualitative measures and conceptual models. So it is a multi-part one, just as most of our assignments are. So Henry Kissinger, real smart guy, said understanding the true nature of a state is the hardest thing to do. But if we are running a business, we really need to understand the state of the business and the state of the people we're working with in order to make a board of directors happy, to please investors, to make a good product, to have happy customers, you name it. These kind of things are really important. So in this assignment, you are going to be discussing some ideas about how to make a stronger business. So in 2 or 3 paragraphs, explain what this conceptual model that we've got right here means to an audience. You can summarize the words of the authors as long as you provide proper citation in APA style, of course. So explain in 2 or 3 paragraphs what this means. Describe it to me. If I looked at this and was like, what the heck is that? Tell me about it. Explain it so that I can understand what this model is signifying. Identify which of the 4 types of organization your company, now once again, it can be a real company or it can be an imaginary one, fits within, and explain why it fits. Identify a specific problem. You can create this and recommend some solutions based on the Kilman, O'Hara, and Strauss article. And then make sure you stress a significant and memorable point to your decision-making audience. So you want to kind of give them a call to action or something compelling there at the end. Then the second part is where you get to create your own conceptual model. So the first one I've created for you and you're just analyzing it. The second one, you're going to create your own. So you can use the smart art feature if you want or any other graphics application that you prefer. And your conceptual model needs to illustrate one of these topics. So you've got a lot to work with here. So pick one of these. Hopefully you've had some experience in one of them, or you can find an article that tells you more about one of them. And then do some research in our CBC databases to find more information so you've got good background. And then if you do happen to find an already constructed diagram, you can use it to inspire yours, but please don't copy it. That would be bad, right? And then below your conceptual model, you get a brief cameo appearance by Charlie. Yay, he's going to be my TA today. So below your conceptual model that you create on your own, include 5 to 8 sentences in a paragraph where you get to interpret your model and explain it to other folks. And that's what we're going to be working on this week. As always, if you have any questions, reach out. I'm here to help. I'm looking forward to seeing how your conceptual model comes together, both as you analyze the sample I gave you and as you create your own. Happy creating, guys, and have a great week.